Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Release Valve. I am your host, Sean Hanlon, and I am with my co-host, my brother, Kyle Spain. What is good in your hood, sir? Welcome on back.
It is looking very good. Hope everyone else is feeling as good as I am. New Year coming around, it's that time again, Sean, where everyone has their New Year's resolution. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people that have a resolution for the new year, which means that all of us have something that we want to work on.
Mm.
Somehow we end up falling short. But we're starting the new year early this year. Understand it early this
Yes,
year. We're going to do a little a, was it a New Year's, a month before New Year's. We're going to call that a month. I can't even think of the word. New Year's Eve, but in the month version instead of the day.
there you go. There you go. I
But
like
it's
that.
great to be back.
Yeah, I like that you're looking to get a jump start on the New Year's resolutions. Because a lot of people, like you said, man, we get started, we have the New Year's, we get excited about it. A lot of people start off strong at that time period, and then at some point, during the year or whatever, things just slowly but surely start to fall below the wayside, and our plans and our goals kind of just disappear, and we allow them to let them go.
Yeah,
And one of the things that I think is important is not necessarily, at least as far as getting started, maybe not waiting for that New Year's, maybe not waiting for that perfect time, maybe not waiting for things to line up for you or to have everything be quote unquote right. Maybe you just need to get started. Some people, I think it's
man.
a good idea to have that starting point. Maybe some people will do better with that. They have something to look forward to. I'm going to get started at this point. They have a prepping process that they go through, to get ready for it. Have things set up for them to make it a little easier, so that way when the time comes, they're able to go after it, and they were ready for it. A lot of other people, myself included, waiting to start isn't always the best idea. Just get going. If you have the thought, if you have the plan, get going on it. Take some sort of action. And maybe the preparation is that action. Maybe we're just looking at it wrong, type of thing. But definitely for myself, I'll spend a lot of time thinking about how things will look and feel, when and if I
That's
accomplish them.
important.
That's definitely an important part of the process for sure. Um, but that's where it seems like a lot of my energy and effort goes to, is the visualization of it, and not necessarily towards the action to make those things happen. Um, so definitely for myself, and I'm just so glad that you got this kick started early, because it allowed me to get those wheels turning. Um, is For myself is that prep work, actually put something into action, like the preparing aspect of it, actually do things that are going to set myself up for success later on, as opposed to not doing things, doing all the visualizing and not doing any of the preparation work, and then when the time comes, not being ready, and then allowing myself to be discouraged, and oh, if I was ready, then I would have been able to tackle it better, and then, like I said, things fall below the wayside and they kind of disappear after a while.
Man, you hit so many points right there. There were some things that I wanted to say, and you went right over them. I'm like, yes,
My
of course.
apologies, man. Again,
No,
this one
no,
feels
it's
good.
not.
I'm excited about this
No,
one.
but listen, no apologies. I love it because these are thoughts, this is thought provoked, right?
That's it.
These are thoughts that have been provoked, which is I like that term too, thought provoked.
Mm.
Anyways, I was going to ask, and I got a couple of notes down here just from what you said right now. First of all, the look and feel, which is extremely important because we need to be able to have an imagination. We talked about this before, right? Having an imagination and understanding that we need to have an imagination so we can dream, and then dreaming,
Right.
right? And then within dreaming is what they call part of manifestation.
Mm.
Um, but understanding that those dreams are real, right? And making sure that we can feel internally or thoughts, with our thoughts. What I actually talked about this earlier today too. If you're able to feel or think about how good food is going to taste, then you can think and feel about how good life is going to feel if you accomplished whatever the case is that you're trying to accomplish, right? My question for you is the whole prep work, right? Because I think preparation is the ultimate key for all of this, right? It's
Hmm.
just like waking up on a daily basis, trying to get some task accomplished and not having anything written down the day before or even the idea of how you're going to attack the day. I think that we all lack preparation and organization, but it takes energy and effort that a lot of us don't want to give energy to for X amount of reasons. There's so many reasons, right? Let me not go down a rabbit hole, but when we get down to the first, we have this vision, right, of what we want our year to look like. We want what we want our life to look like within that year. Expectations of things happening within our lives, for our lives, things that we want for our lives. Um, but I think that New Year's, now that I'm thinking about it right now, New Year's Day is just it's just another day,
Right.
right? You have your
It's
New Year's
exactly
Eve
it.
and you'll celebrate and do whatever day, excited for the new year. But when you wake up, does it miraculously change? No,
Right.
it's like your day is pretty much the same as it was yesterday. We're just in a different New Year, and so it's like you said, that preparation, that getting ready, taking necessary steps, maybe test running things, testing the water, seeing how things work, getting ahead of yourself for the new year. So when that new year does come, you're prepped, right? We wake up on New Year's and we automatically like we go hit the gym because it's probably going to be it's probably the busiest day of the year, right?
I bet.
It's New Year's, the first couple of days of New Year's, right?
January and February, I bet those gyms are packed.
Man, but then it's like it's that same thing we've talked about of trying to jump from A to Z. It's like we wake up on New Year's and
Right.
we're ready to attack it. We're ready to be at Z already. We're ready to
We
have
want
that
that
body, that
change
beach
right
body.
then and there.
Exactly. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Everything is a building process. Everything takes time, time that's
Hmm.
eventually going to be coming. So we need to start now, like you said. We have to start now. So, getting into that, what do you have down, sir, as a couple of New Year's resolutions that you would like for yourself? And we're starting now, right? You guys jump
Right.
on the train right now because this train is moving and it's going to take off. And we want you
Absolutely.
on board. We want you on board
Absolutely,
for the
man.
ride.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that, man, because when you first started talking about this, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, um, again, thought provoking. The conversations that you and I have are so thought provoking. Those tap ins are so crucial in kickstarting my motivation. And so yeah, when you were letting me know that you were getting started early on your New Year's resolutions, my mind immediately started going. All right, where am I looking to improve? How am I looking to do it? And again, I could sit back and I could think of a lot of different things that I want to improve about my life or myself or anything like that, but that's never been the issue for me. My issue has always been, how am I going to do that? So I looked into it a little bit. What makes it easier to achieve goals, or not just to set the resolutions, but to go after them too. And one of the
Absolutely.
things that I came across was called SMART planning. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And these are all things that are going to help you smart plan action, or thought processes that you can put into actions, right? So, the first one is specific. Be specific with what it is that you are looking to achieve. Really break down not just the generalization of it. Like for instance, if somebody is looking to lose weight, don't just say lose weight. Be specific. How much weight are you looking to lose? Right? Or what's your body fat percentage, or whatever it is. Have something. Be more specific about it. If you want to make more money, how much more money do you want to make? Right? Be specific in what it is that you're looking to achieve. The second one is measurable. Make sure it's something that you can actually measure your achievements, or your progress during during the process of it. You know, make it something that it's easy for you to track. The third one is achievable. Obviously, that one's a no-brainer, right? You wanna set a goal for something that you can actually obtain, actually achieve and get done. And so, you know, be realistic in that aspect of it too. You know what I mean? If, again, using the example of losing weight, don't say I want to lose 100 pounds in 3 months. That's not healthy. That's not a realistic goal. Like, you know, that's
I
not
love
good
it.
for you, type of thing. You know what I mean? So be realistic about your achievements that you're looking to get. The last, or the fourth one is relevant. You know, obviously make sure it's something that's relevant to you in your life and makes sense for something that you can achieve. You know, don't
Oh,
go out
so
there
that's
and
the fourth one. So ours not it's not realistic. So what is it like?
it's relevant.
Relevant. Oh, okay, relevant. You said realistic, so I have
I
realistic.
apologize.
I
I was
like
talking
realistic.
about realistic as your
Your
goal,
goals
your
that are achievable.
achievable. Right.
Got it.
Sorry, the fourth one is relevant. Make sure it's relevant to you. Um, you know, don't shoot for the stars in something that doesn't make sense in your life. You
Right.
know, um, and the last one is time bound. You know, obviously, this is something that you want to be able to, like we said before, measure. Give yourself a time period to do so. You know, not something that you're just going to say, "Oh, I'll get this done in like the next 20 years or something like that." That doesn't make any sense. When we're talking about setting a plan or having a New Year's resolution or a goal that you're looking to achieve, you want it to be something. Give yourself a time period to achieve it. Give yourself an actual something to shoot for. I have until this amount of time to get it done. It kind of just kickstarts that necessity to get it done, type of thing. You know, you have a time period, you have a time frame to get this thing done. Here's your goal. That's your time period to do it. Go ahead and do it, type of thing, within that time period. Now, again, these are just this is just something to help if you're struggling, like somebody like myself is having a hard time getting the things, breaking the things down, and how you're going to achieve it. Um, so, you know, I don't this isn't anything that I'm challenging people to do and make sure that they do it this way specifically. But again, if you're somebody like me and you struggle a little bit on how to get it done, this is just one of those tools. You know, be specific, make it measurable, be realistic about those goals, have it make sense, create a plan. You know, something that also helps with all of this is having accountability partners. You know, having people that you can kind of tap in with and check in with, like you and I talk about with ourselves. Have people that you can kind of feed off of each other's achievements, you know, their progress with each other. And it makes it a little bit easier, I feel like, when you have somebody almost to report to, as opposed
Yeah.
to yourself. Because again, when it comes to yourself, you're going to find those excuses. You know, whether you realize it or not, the way that we operate, the way that human beings, you know, most of us function is by, yeah, finding those reasons why we don't have to do the things that we're looking to do. So having accountability partners, it also helps to be there for somebody else on their journey. You know what I'm saying? Like you and I have talked about before. You know, you're not just
Absolutely.
having somebody that you're leaning on. It helps you to know that somebody needs to lean on you too. Helps you make sure you stand upright a little bit more, right? You know, if I'm going to be carrying, you know, having something lean on me, I want to make sure
Yeah.
that I'm in a position to take on that weight. So it definitely helps to have somebody that's leaning on you as well. The last two things I have written down here for this whole smart planning is rewarding yourself, making sure that you know, you and I have talked about this before, celebrating those wins. You know, not just harping on the negative aspects of things that are going wrong or that aren't right, or other things like that, or the things that we count as losses. Make
Yeah.
sure that you're recognizing those wins and feeding off of that. You know, like we talk about, make your bed in the morning, you're getting that win first thing in the day. That's starting that process of getting those wins. So celebrate them as you go. And the last thing on here is stay positive. That sounds a lot easier than it is, right? Easier said than done. Sounds so simple, so easy, but it's not. It's really not easy to stay positive in this day and age. You know, with all the things that we have going on, around us, all of the things that we have going on within us, you know, it can be really hard to stay positive day in and
Absolutely.
day out. So having all of this going on, I just threw a lot at you. I realize that,
Oh
but
man, yeah, I'm over here trying to jot it all down because it's like everyone needs to hear like the interpretation that's going through my mind for sure. Um, I want to start back over at Smart,
bring it
and I want
back.
to give my interpretation of it, and you guys can take what you guys can take from it whatever you need, and discard the rest. That's usually how we need to be operating anyways, as far as just
Right.
retaining information and utilizing information for our own personal growth. But I like smart planning. I like that a lot, and I'm definitely going to use this, especially in this month, getting prepared for the new year, right?
Right.
Specific. And I like specific because it allows you to focus on something specific, right? It allows you to have one focus, maybe two focuses, not too many focuses, because you can't spread yourself thin without being able to water all your focuses. But you're not walking around. You have something that you can plan on through the day, something you can structure and organize through the day to focus on that focus, right? Prioritize that focus. You have something. It's like going into the gym and having a plan in which you want to tackle because you're specific about the game plan. You have an idea of what needs to be worked on, right? So I like specific, measurable. There's it all kinds of tie. It all kind of ties in. When something that I've learned with doing insurance now, when you start tracking your numbers, and this is for anything, right? Losing weight or whatever you're trying to achieve,
Hmm.
reps, whatever the case is, focusing on the numbers will help eliminate the emotional aspect of all of what we
Right.
endure on a daily basis.
Hmm.
It's not easy doing life insurance and getting hung up on and meeting rude people, but if you're focusing on making the connection every time you make a call, you're going to get that feeling of like, dang, like that's discouraging, as far as, people hanging up on you or people having a bad attitude, right? We continue to try and have that focus of and understanding that people are going through things, but it's not always easy to filter. So if you can measure something and be able to track it, you can eliminate a lot of the emotional input that goes into it. Like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Like, you can go back to the numbers. Like, did I hit this? Did I hit this number regardless of what happened? And
Right.
then you can go back and see whether you went wrong, right? Achievable and realistic, relevant. I like that R you initially put for realistic because it kind of ties in with achievable, right? Something that's going to be achievable or realistically achievable in that
Hmm.
time frame which is where that last one is time. Relevant. What was your description of relevant again?
Making sure that it makes sense to you in your life. You know, you're doing
Yeah.
something that you're going to actually benefit from. You know, and some people, it is good to kind of go off and do that one-off type of thing. Say you did it, and then come back to what you have going on. That's fine. I'm not talking about that, but you know, have something that's relevant that it makes it easier to go after when it's something that actually makes sense for what you have going on in your life.
But I like smart because it all ties in and celebrating the wins, right? Making something achievable. And my with being a trainer too, like my suggestion would be, and it sounds stupid, right? It sounds dumb, but it works so well. Was literally starting with rep one. If you can't do a push up, start with the knee push ups, right? But
Hmm.
instead of trying to do 5 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, do do one set or 20 sets of one, and literally just do one rep. Like,
Hmm.
because what that will do is that it will get your body in motion. It's that body because we lack the synchrony of our minds and our bodies, right? We're not
Hmm.
synchronized. We have a lot of thoughts that go on in our heads and a lot of things that we want to accomplish. But if our legs aren't moving, we can't get to those thoughts. And so we need to tie in that correlation. We need to build that mind and body connection. So
Hmm.
even just doing one rep will get your body into motion of doing a push-up. And maybe next
Right.
time and that's your only goal, right? You make these goals achievable because now it's like, okay, well, I did that, right? It eliminates that discouraging factor of failing, right?
Right.
That's why you said realistic, achievable goals,
Yep.
celebrating the wins, but learning from the losses, right? And I think that we spend a lot of time dwelling in our discouragement,
Mm-hmm.
and we've talked about this before. Discouragement doesn't lead to encouragement. Discouragement only leads to lack of productivity, postponing, procrastination,
Yep.
lack of energy. Celebrating the wins is huge. Giving yourself some grace and some self love. We all need to give ourselves some love because it's easy to criticize everything that we do, right? Learning from the losses, celebrating the wins, and there's always something that you can get better from, right? There's always a way to make something better instead of dwelling on those losses. Let's first look at how we can better the situation. There's always some type of solution or some type of way to make a bad situation into a good one. And it's not easy, of course, but let's try and be positive, which is one of my New Year's resolutions.
Mm.
Is not allowing myself to sit in discouragement or to sit in what we think is a loss, and being like, instead of being
Mm.
like, damn, like that sucked. Being like, damn, well, how do I get better from this? How do I move on? How do I make sure
Right.
that this doesn't happen again, or how do I make sure that I make this better for next time? And that will allow us to overcome obstacles a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So being
Absolutely.
objectively positive about things, just not won't even help our mental space, but it will allow us to make more progress in times that are a lot more rough than what they may seem.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because again, it's the emotional attachment that we have to whatever it is that's going on. And if something negative comes into that, again, we were emotionally attached to the success of that. And because it wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be, or not successful at all in our eyes or whatever, we immediately attach a negative to that. And yeah, we can get down, we can get depressed about it, or we can suppress it, deny it, move on, forget about it, without actually going through that lesson that can be learned there, right? Without actually
Yeah,
assessing why it went the way that it went, and what you can do differently to make sure that it doesn't go that way, or that you do, or that you will achieve it next time, or whatever the case is, right? Being kind of vague here, but again, to just not allow ourselves to get down at whatever it is that came up. You and I talked about before the perfect day. I'm throwing out this a lot, because
yeah,
because that's what it is, like the perfect day, the quote unquote perfect day that we're constantly expecting, and then getting upset when it doesn't come. And and so there was a concept that I heard a long time ago, and I've kind of again, another one of the things that I let fall below the wayside and kind of forgot about is the concept of 5 and 5. If this is not something that I'm going to be mad at 5 years from now, don't spend more
yeah,
than 5 minutes being upset about it now. Be upset about it. Take your 5 minutes, be upset, whatever you got to do, cry, scream, be angry, punch something if you need to. But once that 5 minutes is up, be done with it and move on. And now it's time to start thinking about, the progression of things, and again, I think it was, yeah, yeah. I think it was Barry actually that we talked about. It may not have even been on the episode that we had with him. It was either a side conversation, or maybe it was on that episode. But he talked about how the first time that we talk about a problem, we'll talk about the problem. Being upset about it or whatever it is. The second time that we talk about it, we're not talking about the problem. We're talking about the solution. We're going to figure out a way. If it's that big of a deal that we're still talking about it, then we got to do
yeah,
something about it, right?
yeah,
So, and I love that. don't just sit back and be all upset about something for an extended period of time and not talking about how you can make it better, or move past it
Yeah,
or learn from it or whatever. That's just a waste of time and energy to continuously talking about something without looking to change it. Now, if it's something that you can't change, then there's really nothing that you should be upset about, right? You can't change it.
it's
There's nothing that you could do about it. So move on. Why are we talking about
gotta
it,
move
right?
on.
Yeah.
Gotta move
So,
on.
and if there's
A
something
lot
that
of
you
us get
can do
stuck there.
about it, sitting back and talking about it and not taking any action isn't going to change it. So, I love that. If you got to be upset about it, be upset about it. If you want to have a conversation about it, let's have a conversation about it. But the next conversation is going to be about the solution of the issue or whatever it is that we're upset about. So I love that, man. Not being too down about things, being positive, finding reasons to be positive too, right? We're always naturally looking for the excuses to get upset about things. And that's definitely something for me that I want to focus on. One of my New Year's resolutions is my mental health, as far as same thing, staying positive, not allowing the exterior, um, the things outside of my control to take control of me. If I
Yeah,
can do something about it, do something about it. And if I can't, then yeah, spend 5 minutes crying if I need to, but then I got to move on.
absolutely. Addressing your problems at 5 and 5. I'm gonna put that on a flashcard. And this is what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start. I got my flashcards right here. Too. Flashcard. So this is what I'm gonna do, people. And my suggestion is for you guys to do this as well. And we're starting today because we leave this podcast and any nugget of knowledge, right? Every things sound so good in the moment, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But then tomorrow we forget about it, and now it's not necessarily in the wind, but it's non-usable, right?
Right, right.
So what I'm going to do is least for the next couple of days, I'm going to write this. Write 5 and 5 on this flashcard. Okay, and I'm going to write 5 and 5. And what is it? It's 5 minutes to talk about it. And if it's not going to be 5 years,
If
what is it?
I'm not going to be upset about it 5 years from now, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset about it right now.
Okay, 5 years versus five.
Because a lot of
5 minutes.
times we'll have frustrations in the moment, right?
Yeah, of course.
And because we're frustrated in that moment, we will then go forward with that frustration and that mindset and those feelings and everything. And again, like we've talked about, that will have that negative effect on all those other things that we would have experienced differently otherwise, had we not held on to that. You know,
I love that. So
we talk
what I'm
about
gonna,
the lady flipping me off in the car, right?
yeah,
I'm not gonna be mad about that in 5 years. I'm not gonna be sitting
right.
back and be like, yeah, remember that fucking bitch that was, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah,
No,
right.
like I'm gonna laugh about it because I'm sure I've had other instances 5 years ago that I don't remember. So
Yeah,
yeah, if I need to, if I need to, be mad at the lady, be all pissed off and let her get to me. But yeah, by the time I get back to the house, that's got to be gone. That's got to be gone. I can't carry that with me.
yeah, yeah. It has to be gone at least on the way out, people. And so what I'm going to do with this flashcard, and the 5 and 5 reminded me of a phrase of what we talked about some weeks ago. Talk to your problems, talk to your
Mm,
problems, and they go. Talk about your problems, and they stay. And I think that's powerful too, because talking to your problems is like almost addressing the problem and trying to find a solution, right? Talking about the problem is allowing yourself to dwell into the problem and still be affected by it, so it stays, right?
mm.
So I'm going to put this on this flashcard. I'm going to write it better than this, and I'm going to read this every day until our next episode.
Mm.
And the goal is to be consistent. Right?
Right,
So
right.
if I don't read it, it may not be a life or death situation, but the more consistent we can do with with new knowledge is turn it into wisdom. That's the best thing that we can do. And that's ultimately what we should be doing is
Right.
taking knowledge and turning it into wisdom. And wisdom is knowledge in action. So, in order for it to be downloaded into our subconscious, it has to be repeated a certain amount of times,
Right.
right? This is what we need to do in everything that we do in our life, and it's going to be one of the start of our challenges. Um, Keeping each other accountable. As far as one of our goals, like I want to be able to read this, at least 5 times this week. So that's going to be one of my goals of mine. And I didn't even think of this goal pop up like this, but a lot of the times, man, we leave this podcast, and there's so many nuggets that we leave on the table. Tomorrow comes and it's Monday, right? Oh my goodness, the wrath of
Right.
Monday.
Right. Those
and
Monday blues are strong, man.
Yeah, and I mean, preparation goes into that, but
Right.
understanding and awareness as well needs to start being incorporated with our mindset too.
Mm.
Just getting rid of the thoughts of what if, can I, and all of that doubt, and just trial and error. Just going through the trial and error. We talk about life being a maze. Go down that path and see if it works. Take those necessary, and it's not going to work. Some paths aren't going to. This is why it's called a maze, right?
Right.
Man, there's going to
See,
be.
this is an important aspect. Sorry to cut you off. This is an important
No, you're
aspect, and this
good.
is something about life that I didn't have this type of realization when I was younger, and I allowed it to dictate my actions in the wrong way. You're right. Life is a maze. It's not a race. And that's the most important thing because I was not willing, and I always knew it was a maze, but I never really took into consideration that it wasn't a race because I was not willing to go down this certain paths if I thought that it was the wrong one. That's going to waste time. I can't
Mm,
do that. Right. As opposed to now, it's like, let me just go down this path. If it's the right one, great. If it's the wrong one, then I know I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to gain that experience. And also because of that, like we've talked about before, maybe I'll be able to help somebody else not go down that path if I
yeah,
go down there and get that experience. I have to not be afraid of failing, not be afraid. And I use quotations on that because it's not really failing if you're gaining that experience. If you have the right
exactly.
mindset to be able to learn from your mistakes, or not even mistakes, sometimes things just happen. Sometimes you just go down the wrong path and it was the wrong one. That's okay. Come on back, take that experience with you, and now go forward in a different direction, another path
Oh, I just
with everything
feels.
with everything that you just got from there, right? That was not something that I had. I didn't look at it that way, man. I felt like I needed to hurry up. I need to hurry up. I'm behind. People are ahead of me. I gotta finish this race, and that's not the case, man. It's not a race.
It is not a race. I love that, and it all ties in to the New Year's resolution because once you can't start the maze or you can't finish the maze if you don't go down certain pathways. That's
Can't.
just not going to happen because if not, and let me get my thoughts straight. Um, we're afraid of failing. We're afraid of going down that path or down that way.
Right.
Whatever avenue the maze takes you, we can't. We will never be successful if we never try.
Right.
And we sit and it's so cliche. It's so cliche, but we're often stuck in the middle. We're often stuck still because the analysis paralysis, and I was a huge victim of that,
Mm.
of just overthinking things or trying to make things so perfect for a start or a launch date that I even forget to start. And the thing is, the sooner you start, the sooner you can get the hiccups out of the way.
Right.
There,
Something's gonna
there,
come up. There's gonna be a
something's
learning
gonna
curve no matter what you do in
no
life.
matter what you do. And it's almost like mind blowing for me again, just reiterating that, even with the things that I want to get started for myself, and it's just like You don't know where to start, but you got to start somewhere. Try something.
Right.
Get that out the way. Know that that's not going to work because failure isn't. It's not failure. It's like you said. It's knowledge, but it's like, ah, man, how can I compare? How can I compare it? What can I compare it to? It's like, okay, there was this show, which is crazy. There's this show. Oh, it's the whatchamacallit. Was it the show? Was it that show? I'm not sure. Um, what's the show? My gosh, on Netflix. Squid Games? Yes. I think the
Squid
Squid Games.
Games. I've heard of it. I've never
Squ-
seen it.
Squid Games, I believe. So there was like a human, like a real version of it, right? So like they made like a human like contest of of Squid Games and kind of like reassimilated, remade the games that were in the movie Squid Games. And I believe it's Squid Games. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But there's a competition between two people, and there's a box full of keys. Right? There's a box full of keys, and there's one key in the box that unlocks $1 million or whatever the case is. I might be botching it, right?
Hmm.
So two contestants have to go in these boxes, and they have to find the key that opens up this door, right? So, but life is the same way. This is where I'm getting to. They have to try each and one of these keys, or the key that it's supposed to look like, right? They have to find the matching key for the door to unlock the $1 million. So there's a box full of keys, thousands of keys. And obviously, if you don't try a key, you're not going to know if that's the key that worked or not. So these
Right.
kids,
There's too many
so the,
keys. I'm not going to
right,
try.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right, like no, or I see this key, I was like, oh, that kind of doesn't look like it, so I'm not going to try. But what if that's the key that works?
Right.
Basically, what I'm saying is life is full of keys. If you don't find and try that key for your door, you're never going to know, and you're not going to get through the keys. You're not going to figure out that was the key that worked because they're taking out the keys. They're obviously not putting it back in the box. They're throwing the keys away, right? So the
Mm.
keys that don't work, they're just tossing out. It's like, well, I know it's not that one. And that may have been a terrible analogy for it, but you're getting the things that you know that don't work out the way, and so now you can move forward to the things that actually work. It's like oh my gosh, a process of elimination.
Right. Right.
Process of elimination. We can never get to that process if we don't try at least start the process. Right?
Right.
We
Yeah.
can't get to the eliminating process. So I may have botched that, but you know what? Everyone needs to start, and the New Year's is all ties back into the New Year's type of stuff, right? Of actually of actually taking that necessary action to the dreams that we have in our heads and making it a reality because it's true, it's there. We just have to bridge the gap.
Right. And again, a lot of that comes down to, the planning of it. But to bring it back around, you asked me earlier what some of my New Year's resolutions were, and I threw at you this long-winded tangent on some things that I found out while looking to come up with my own New Year's resolutions. But we touched base on one of them with the positivity and mental health for myself is trying to stay positive. What is also going to help with my mental health and staying positive is my physical fitness. I'm constantly looking at my future self and saying that's achievable. I can do that. I know I can do that. And then not putting in the action to do it. Like, all right, well, yeah, I'll get started on, Monday or tomorrow, whatever the case is. The problem that I really have more than anything is not having a plan around how I'm going to attack my physical fitness. And again, this is part of that smart planning, I got to set achievable goals for myself, things that I can accomplish every single day if I'm able, and make it easy. That's the thing with myself is I need to make it easy and get that snowball
Momentum.
going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, get that
Build that
momentum.
momentum.
So I need to set easy, achievable goals. And like you were saying, not look to do 40 straight push-ups. Maybe I need to do sets of 10 or, 20 or whatever it is. Break it up a little bit. And again, not get down on myself when I'm not able to do, again, those larger goals. I have this big goal in mind. I want to be able to do, I'm just using 40 push-ups as an example. Let's say I'm looking to achieve 40 push-ups. I'm not going to be able to do that 40 push-ups straight. I'm not going to be able to do that just by jumping down without stretching, without warming up, without,
Right.
doing
Exactly.
push-ups beforehand, right? So I'm going to have to work towards that a little bit. So set that goal and make it easy. I'll start with, sets of 10 for the first half of the day to get my body warmed up and ready. I'm going to start doing sets of 10 push-ups. That is so easy for me. And I'm not trying to boast or brag or anything. For some people, that's really hard. For other people, 10 push-ups is a joke. So for myself, and that's all that I'm worried about right now, I am going to start with sets of 10 because I know that's easy for me. And I know I'm going to feel good by doing it because doing 4 sets of 10 push-ups is easy and I'll feel good about that. Not doing any push-ups because I know I'm not able to do 40 straight is even easier because I'm not doing anything right, but I'm not going to feel good about it. I'm not going to feel good. I'm
Exactly.
going to be
And that's
mad.
it.
And
That's
that's my
it.
thing. And that's my thing is it's one of those, I know I could do 40 push-ups. Well, yeah, you did 40 push-ups straight like 10 years ago, bro. You were in that type of shape. You're not in that type of shape anymore. So stop acting like that's something that you can just jump down and do. Put in that necessary work. And part of that necessary work is starting small, starting with baby steps.
I think that's heavy. And this is something that Amanda and I were talking about. And it's why this is going to be the best year of our lives. And we hope the year of your guys' lives too, especially if you guys keep on following the podcast. This is going to change your life as it's changing ours. And that's the thing, bro. And there's so many little minor details that just goes the wayside or just goes unnoticed because of the everyday things that we have going in our life. And whatever that case is, work, job, school, extracurricular activities, there's always going to be something that requires our attention and energy. And but what happens is we get into that mindset of knowing that some things are accomplishable or achievable, but then we choose not to do it because we're tired or we have this thing going on or we have that thing going on. And when we don't do it, we don't feel good about ourselves, and that
Right.
cycle continues every single day, and it becomes redundant. It turns into insanity, and we wonder why we're still in this state of mediocrity and average, unhappiness, frustrated because of the things that are frustrating or the things that are holding us back or things that we don't want to pay attention to or things that we don't want to put our energy in because of X, Y, and Z reasons.
Right.
So having that understanding and knowing that you pushing that off to the wayside, you not wanting to go to the gym or wanting to stretch or wanting to drink water, you're just pushing off the inevitability, the inevitable, factor in all of it, right? It's going to have its effect, right? There's going to be a risk and a reward for every decision that we make. There's a risk
Right.
and a reward. But we talked about that storm, right? We talk about running from our problems as if they're going to go away, and they don't. Whether that's being overweight, whether that's being inflexible, whether that's health problems, or whatever it is that we're trying to achieve or trying to get rid of, those things are still going to be there, even when you push them off. In most cases, if not all, it's going to add interest. Right? Procrastination adds interest. It never, I haven't, unless it's set up that way, it's never easier to do it tomorrow. It's always going to be a little bit harder
Rarely
than for
ever,
you
right?
to. Rarely, like I said, it adds interest, bro.
Right. Because we always assume that tomorrow we're not going to have the same things that we have going on today. We're not going to have the feelings that we have going on right now because that's ultimately what it is, right? Our mindset, our feelings, we're not ready to take those steps. So
Yeah.
right now I'm not ready. Maybe tomorrow I
Preparation.
will be. Tomorrow I'll be ready. I'll do it. And then tomorrow comes and something else happened in that meantime, and you're not feeling good. You didn't sleep as good the night before. You know, something. You know, fill in the blank, right? And that's how that negative snowball gets going, right? And that day turns into a week, turns into a month, and then all of a sudden a year goes by and you haven't done anything. And then, you know, that in and of itself can be depressing, and people can start going down that negative road and allowing those things to affect them and have a heavier effect on them than they should. So so again, bringing it back to those achievable goals and keeping it kind of small, maybe at first, you know, to allow that positive momentum to get going, to
Yeah.
allow yourself, you know, again, the same concept of making your bed in the morning and getting that win early. You know, that's something that's so simple, and some people that sounds ridiculous. I make my bed every single day. That's not a big deal. To other people, they never make their bed. It's not that big
Yeah.
of a deal to them because, you know, whatever, nobody's coming into their room. Um, you know, whatever. They brush it off. They chalk it off as something that's just not really important. And again, not realizing that if you get that done and you acknowledge that that's something that you completed, a task checked off, you know, first thing in the morning before you've done anything else, have that mindset of, all right, what else can I achieve first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
Even if it's something that you're supposed to do every single day, right? If you have a dog, you got to take the dog out to go to the bathroom. Count that. Count that as something that you achieved, that you were supposed to do, that you got done. It
Yeah.
sounds silly. It sounds
It
silly, but you know,
does. But
little things.
yeah.
I need to, you know, brush my teeth in the morning before I leave or whatever. I need to put on my deodorant. Count all of these wins. Check all of these things off that box. Even if you need to physically write them on a piece of paper or a board or something like that with a little box next to it that you can go out there and actually physically put that check mark. And then you can physically see I've done something with myself. I've accomplished
Yes.
something. Again, what else can I do? Put those type of things as achievable, or put those type of things as goals, and you achieve them. I promise you that's going to have a positive effect on you whether you realize it or
Promise.
not.
Promise.
I promise you that's going to have a positive effect whether you realize it or not. So again, for some people, you may have to shoot a little bit bigger than that. You know, your goals may need to be a little bit bigger, and that's fucking awesome, man. If you got that type of stuff already lined up and worked out for you to where you don't need to focus on these little things, that's amazing. And I want to talk about that too. You know, we can get to that point with those people if they hit us up and come on. But again, for those other people, keep it small, keep it simple, and allow yourself to build momentum in that way. You do all of these things without even thinking about them, and it's just something that you do. Well, now what happens if you start thinking about them and you achieve
Yeah.
them, and that feeling that comes with that?
I
Okay,
love that.
what else can I apply that to? What else
Yeah.
can
Exactly.
I set those type of goals for? Again, just as an example for myself, 40 push-ups is not that big of a deal, but it can be if I don't do it the right way. And it can also be in a good way lead towards a big deal, lead towards a positive big deal later on. If I'm able to accomplish that, you know, start working towards that and accomplish it, I can then use that as my standing point, as my launching point for my next goal. You know what I'm saying? The next thing,
Yeah.
all right, I've done this, so now what else can I do? Same concept. Start small, allow yourself to build momentum from those small things, and then use that momentum to get going on some of those bigger things in life.
Everything. I'm just thinking as you say it, and you know, there's so many depths to a word or a phrase, and so many different avenues and angles that you can look at something. And you know, I have some ideas of how I'm going to apply it, but why not apply it to everything,
As many things
right?
as that you can think
As
of, right?
as many things as you can think of, because even with me, with with all of the stuff that I'm going to start trying to start and haven't started because of that analysis paralysis. Why not just do it with everything possible? Start really just incrementally, Like literally put it in baby steps. And it sounds silly and it sounds like, well, yeah, well, that's cake. That little something, that fraction of a something is better than nothing. Because often that's where we end up being. We end up being like, no, that's not enough. And we end up not doing it at all because the intimidating factor or not being prepared to hit that number that we're reaching, to hit that number that we think is enough, right? So let's start with that number that's easy and just build off of that. Like you said, build that momentum in a positive way. And then before you know it, you're going to be at X, Y, and Z or whatever that number is or goal that you were trying to hit.
That's
I
it.
love that, bro. I love that.
That's it, man.
I love
So
that.
again, to bring it all back to start wrapping this up. New Year's resolutions, I think, is an amazing thing. I think for so many people, and not even just a New Year's resolution. Again, just to have some sort of a goal to look to achieve, to look to get better. For personal growth reasons, if nothing else. We want to get better for ourselves, but for people like you and I, we have other people in our lives that we want to get better for as well. It's not just about us. I have a wife and I have two kids in my life that I want to make sure that I'm giving them the best of me, so that way I can allow them to be the best that they can be.
Yeah,
If I'm not my best self, then that means that those around me aren't getting the best experiences with me that they can possibly get, which means that they are not in a position to be their best selves, right? If I'm
absolutely.
having a negative experience on people around me, you know, um, that's taken away from their ability to be able to perform and do things that they want to do the best way that they can. So I definitely have the mindset of, I'm not oblivious to the fact that I am in other people's lives and I have a big place in those lives, and how I approach my life has an effect on theirs. And so I need to do what I got to do, not just for myself, but for them too.
Man, that's heavy. That's real heavy. It's like being on an airplane, right? And then them saying that you need to put your mask on first before you put on somebody else's mask.
Right. How can
Otherwise,
how can I be there? How can I be there for them if I'm not taking care of myself first?
exactly, bro. That's heavy. I mean, I'm looking at myself, right? People like, I'm looking at all the ways that I can apply this to my life, right? And let this be the challenge for all of us, right? Like we say, get up on this train, let's grow. Let's go,
That's it,
let's
man.
grow.
Yeah,
That's it,
yeah,
man.
keep it going, keep it growing, man.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
talking about this stuff, like how Vodka said, I may sound like the perfect guy, like I got it all figured out, like I just got everything lined up, some of the things that I'm saying. But again, these things that I'm saying that you and I are talking about, we're having these realizations because we're actually looking at our lives. We're actually looking at the quality of them and what it is about them that we like and what it is about them that we don't like and what can we do about them. So,
Yeah.
the things that we're talking about is because we're actually taking a look at ourselves and we're really assessing what we see in the mirror and trying to come up with things that we can change, that we can do about those things that we can change, and
Yeah.
to be able to accept the things that we can't, but being able to recognize the difference between the two, that's ultimately what we're trying to do, and to help others along the way is is one of our goals. So
Yeah.
again, I thank you, Mr. Spain, for putting this on my radar. Again, we don't know how much we can benefit from just having these type of conversations. This type of stuff, I wasn't looking at any of this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at my year to end, and I'm
Yeah.
going into the next one, and all it took was a conversation with you to say like, "Yo, man, I'm getting my New Year's resolutions started early." Boom, let's go. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to start looking at how I want to better myself.
Man, I love that. Thought
You know what I'm
provoking,
saying? Like,
thought
yeah,
provoking energy. That's why it's
thought
important
provoking conversations, man.
yeah.
So,
That's why
so
people
yeah,
need to
bro.
jump on.
That's it. That's it.
Get the motors running, get the gears rolling.
Again, people listening, people tuning in. jump on with us, hit us up. We are looking to have these type of conversations with more people. We're looking to learn from others. You know, you and I, we sit and have these conversations. We learn so much. Every single time we've gotten somebody else on here, we've learned from them too. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking to learn, man. I'm a student of life. I'm looking to get better at it. You know, I'm looking to be a better person, and this is definitely one of the ways that we're able to do it. So
Right on.
let's go.
All right, people. I've been. Let us know what you think. It's the time. This is it right now. This is the year. This is your year. This is our year. Collectively. Let's do it.
Let's go. Until next time. Thanks, everybody.